When did you realize your sister was fully brainwashed by mom and dad? I was 13. When I was 13, I thought the worst thing that could happen was moving from Chicago to Phoenix. Turns out, that was just the warm-up act. Let me back up. We were a four-person family. Me, Aiden Clark, the youngest, the overlooked one. Then my sister Emily, 17, queen bee in the making. Mom, Karen Clark, always perfectly composed, always lying through her teeth with a smile. And Dad, Michael, the kind of guy who believed being the provider meant he never had to apologize for anything. On the surface, we were normal. Emily got straight A's, I kept to myself. Dad worked some soulless finance job, and Mom ran every PDA meeting like it was a Fortune 500 boardroom. Then, everything cracked. One night, I woke up to yelling. The kind of yelling that makes your chest tighten before your brain catches up. I crept down the stairs. Emily was screaming. I couldn't make out all the words, but I heard. You promised. You said he wouldn't know. Then a loud crash. Then silence. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. Next morning, Emily had a bruise under her eye. Dad said she tripped. Mom said, girls get clumsy when they grow too fast. Emily, she smiled and said nothing. 2 weeks later, we were gone. No warning. No goodbye. Just bags in the car and a tight-lipped explanation from Mom. Phoenix will be better. Cleaner. Safer. No more distractions. We left in the middle of the night. Our house in Chicago. Sold the same week. Phone numbers changed. Social media wiped. I asked Emily what happened. She didn't answer. In Phoenix, things were off. Our new place was colder. Not in temperature, emotionally. Sterile. Mom decorated it like a hotel lobby. There were rules taped to the fridge. We weren't allowed to leave without permission. No friends over. No unlocked doors at night. And Emily? She changed. Not slowly. Not gradually. It was like they flipped a switch inside her. Back in Chicago, she was sharp, sarcastic, always rolling her eyes at Mom's overbearing crap. She used to sneak me candy when Mom wasn't looking. We had inside jokes. A silent pact. In Phoenix? She parroted everything Mom said. Mom's just trying to protect us. You need to stop asking questions. We're a family. You shouldn't be so selfish, Aiden. It wasn't just that she agreed with him. It was how much she agreed. How fast. How rehearsed. It was like I was talking to a recording of her. Not the real her. I remember the first time I really knew something was wrong. We were eating dinner, dried chicken, steamed broccoli, silence. Dad mentioned they were considering homeschooling. I said, what? Why? We just got here. Emily jumped in before either parent could. Because school's a distraction. Real growth happens at home. Then she turned to me, smiling like a news anchor. Don't you want to grow, Aiden? That word. Grow. They said it a lot. Like it meant something different. I didn't say anything. Just pushed broccoli around my plate and kept my head down. That night, I snuck into Emily's room. She was sitting on her bed, reading. I asked her, point blank, why are you acting weird? She blinked, closed her book. I'm not. Yes, you are. You hated Mom's rules before. You used to say she was suffocating. Now you're defending her. People change, Aiden. Overnight? She paused. Maybe you're the one who needs to change. She turned her lamp off. That conversation stuck with me for weeks. Because that wasn't Emily's voice. It was theirs. The real Emily? She was slipping. Being overwritten. Like they'd gotten inside her head and scrubbed out everything that made her her. And me? I was next. I started noticing weird things. My phone would randomly be charging in Mom's room. My email stopped syncing. Teachers said they weren't getting my assignments, even though I submitted them. My guidance counselor stopped returning my messages. When I told Emily, she shrugged. Maybe they don't like troublemakers. Troublemakers. Another word they used a lot. Then came the final straw. It was a Sunday. Dad had gone out. Mom was in the kitchen, humming some creepy lullaby under her breath. Emily and I were in the living room. I asked her calmly if she remembered our trip to the lake last summer. She tilted her head. We've never been to a lake. Yes, we have. With Uncle Dean. You caught a frog. We took pictures. She frowned. I think you're confused. No, I'm not. You were wearing that stupid sunnet you hated. You made me swear never to post the photo. Aiden, what? Uncle Dean died when I was little. We've never met him. I stared at her. That wasn't just lying. That was rewriting history. And she looked me in the eye while doing it. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to let them take her completely. Even if she'd already forgotten me. Even if I had to go alone. I started documenting everything. Screenshots. Voice memos. Daily logs. Anything strange. Anything Emily said that didn't sound like her. Because I wasn't just trying to survive anymore. I was building a case. And deep down, I knew. Something way bigger was coming. When Emily told me we'd never been to the lake, when she erased Uncle Dean like he was some made-up bedtime story, something in me snapped. I stopped talking to her after that. Not in an angry, dramatic way. Just stopped trying. I realized whatever was left of the sister I knew wasn't reachable by conversation. But the weird thing? She didn't even seem to notice. Or care. At Mesa High, I started keeping my head down. The school was fine. Generic. Teachers were all right. I made one decent friend, Jace, this sarcastic kid who had a lisp but could roast anyone without blinking. He became the only person I talked to about my home life. Dude, he said one day at lunch, your sister sounds like she's been Scientologied. He wasn't wrong. Because it wasn't just that Emily changed. It was that she watched me. At home, I'd feel her eyes on me when I passed in the hall. Once, I caught her in my room. Just standing there. Said she was looking for her charger. But mine was in the wall. Untouched. Another time, I heard her whispering in the kitchen, low, fast, and when I walked in, she went dead silent. Who were you talking to? No one. I heard you. Maybe you should stop eavesdropping. Then she smiled. That same eerie smile she'd picked up from Mom. Too white. Too wide. One morning, I walked into class, and the whole room went quiet. I mean silent. The kind of silence that sticks to your skin. I sat down. Opened my binder. The kid next to me leaned over. You all right, man? Yeah. Why? Your sister said you tried to run away. Said your parents are worried you're gonna hurt yourself. I blinked. What? She told our counselor. That you're unstable. That you've been acting out. I felt like someone had dumped ice water down my back. That afternoon, I got called to the office. The counselor, Ms. Ramirez, gave me that look. The soft one. That you're not in trouble, but we're worried about you, look. She asked if I wanted to talk about anything. If I felt safe. If I'd had thoughts of hurting myself or others. I said no. I told her I was fine. I was just stressed from the move. That Emily must have misunderstood something. She nodded, but I could tell she didn't believe me. When I got home that night, Emily was already waiting in the hallway. Just standing there, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Why are you trying to make us look bad? What are you talking about? Mom said you've been snooping. Writing things down. Recording stuff. That's none of your business. It is when it affects our family. You lied to the counselor. She didn't even flinch. You're unstable. You've been sneaking around. You need help. No, you need help. You don't even see what they're doing to you. She stepped closer. What they're doing is saving us. You're the one trying to tear everything down. That was the first time I felt scared of her. Not just uncomfortable. Scared. Because she believed it. Every word. Like she was reading from a script buried in her skull. A few days later, I followed her. It was dumb. I know that. But I needed to know where she went every night around 9 p.m. when she said she was going to the library. No one goes to the library that much. So I waited. Hoodie on. Lights off. I watched through the blinds. She left. Backpack slung low. No books. I slipped out. Quiet. She walked 2 blocks down, past the gas station, then turned into this narrow alley between 2 medical buildings. I thought maybe she was meeting friends. Or sneaking a smoke. But what I saw. She was meeting them. Mom and Dad. In a black SUV. Tinted windows. Parked halfway in the shadows. She got in. Stayed for 20 minutes. Then came out, alone. When she passed under the streetlight, I saw her face. She was crying. But not the way people cry when they're sad. The way people cry when they've convinced themselves they're happy and their brain is fighting back. The next day, I tried talking to her again. Tried to reach her. I saw you last night. She blinked. What? In the alley. You met them. You've been meeting them every night. Her jaw tightened. You shouldn't be spying on me. I thought they didn't allow us to leave the house without permission. They make exceptions for people they trust. They're using you, Emily. They're protecting me. From what? From you. That one stung. I stepped back. You really believe that? You're trying to destroy this family. You're trying to destroy me. Then she walked away. And I realized. She wasn't hiding anymore. She wasn't pretending to be neutral. She saw me as the enemy. That night, I made my choice. If I couldn't reach her by talking, I'd reach her by proving. I hacked her phone. It wasn't even hard. She used the same lock screen passcode since Chicago. Her birthday, reversed. Inside, it was worse than I thought. Messages from Mom and Dad. Daily check-ins. Instructions. Praise when she redirected me. Criticism when she didn't. One message from Dad read, he's asking questions again. Be firm. Remind him of his place. Another from Mom. Use his trust. Make him feel like you're still on his side. Then correct him. Correct. That word again. Correct. Grow. Save. Protect. It was all code for control. Then I found the video. It was timestamped a week before we moved to Phoenix. Dad, sitting in his office. Straight face. Cold eyes. Emily, if you're watching this, it means he's still resisting. You need to stay the course. Do not let him pull you in. You've seen what happens when people reject the system. They lose everything. Then he leaned forward. Break his trust. That's how you win. That's how we all win. My hands shook. I backed up the video, copied every message, every file, because I knew. This wasn't just manipulation. This was full-scale brainwashing. And Emily? She was their soldier. But I wasn't done fighting. I didn't sleep after I found that video. I couldn't. My brain kept looping it. Dad's cold, calculated instructions. Emily's scripted replies, the word correct echoing like a knife sliding between my ribs. I was 13 years old and suddenly responsible for evidence that could blow up my entire family. That night, I copied everything to a thumb drive. All the messages, screenshots, recordings, even the call logs between Emily and our parents. I stuffed it into a sock and hid it in the vent behind my dresser. Cliché, I know, but hey, nobody checks vents. Then I did something even riskier. I emailed everything to Jace, my one friend, the only person I trusted not to crack under the weight of this. The subject line? If something happens to me, show this to someone who matters. The next day, he cornered me before first period. Dude, this is insane. Like, movie villain insane. I know. You have to go to the cops. I can't. They'll never believe me. They'll say I faked it. That I'm just a rebellious kid making stuff up. So what now? I don't know yet. But I need time. I need proof that they're still doing it now. Not just stuff from before we moved. Jace nodded. No jokes. No sarcasm. He just said, I've got your back. That meant more than I let on. Because back home, I didn't have anyone. Emily started acting weird that week. Paranoid. She'd hover when I was on my laptop. Ask weird, indirect questions like, do you still talk to that friend from school? Are you writing in your notebook again? Have you been thinking about leaving? One night, I caught her reading my journal. She said she was looking for a charger. Again. Then came the worst night of all. It was just after midnight. I was in bed, fake sleeping, something I'd gotten really good at. I heard her footsteps coming down the hallway. She didn't go to the bathroom. She came into my room. Stood there, watching me. I kept my breathing steady. After maybe a full minute, she knelt by my desk, turned on my computer, and started going through it. I had a password on everything, obviously, but I saw the glow on her face, the way her jaw clenched as she typed and failed. She got frustrated. Opened my drawers. Then, she pulled out my phone. I'd hidden it under my pillow. It must have slipped down. She left with it. Just took it. The next morning, my phone was gone. When I asked Emily about it, she didn't deny it. You don't need that distraction. Give it back. You'll get it back when you're focused again. She sounded exactly like Mom. Word for word. I lost it. You're not my parent. No, I'm your sister. Which means I should care about your soul. Soul. I wanted to scream. To shake her. To pull the old Emily out by force. But instead, I said, you're a puppet. You're just repeating whatever they drilled into your head. I'm doing what's right. No, you're doing what's easy. She slapped me. Right across the face. Neither of us moved for a full 5 seconds. Then she left the room. That was the turning point. I realized I couldn't wait any longer. I called Jace from the school's library that afternoon, old-fashioned landline. Told him to bring the backup files to someone, anyone, who would listen. He didn't hesitate. Took the flash drive straight to the school counselor. Told her everything. Showed her the emails, the video, the messages. Ms. Ramirez called the state's Department of Child and Family Services. An agent showed up at school the next day. They pulled me from class. Sat me down. Started asking questions. I didn't lie. Told them everything. What I'd found. What Emily said. The video. The surveillance-like behavior. The night visits with our parents. The messages instructing her to correct me. They were stunned. The agent, Mr. Levin, said, this isn't just psychological abuse. This is systemic. Methodical. And if even half of this is verifiable, your parents could face serious charges. When I got home that afternoon, the house was too quiet. My laptop was gone. So was my notebook. My backpack had been opened and tossed. Then I saw it, my sock drawer, pulled open and rifled through. The vent behind the dresser? Empty. They found the flash drive. Emily found it. And worse? She knew I was the one who leaked everything. That night, she confronted me. Her eyes were red. Her voice? Shaky. Why would you do this? Because I'm done being afraid. You ruined everything. No, Emily. They ruined everything. I just told the truth. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Like she didn't recognize me anymore. You're going to tear this family apart. Then maybe it deserves to break. She screamed. Threw my phone across the room. It cracked against the wall. Then she ran to her room, slammed the door, and locked it. Next morning, she was gone. Left a note that said, "Don't follow me. You've made your choice." I didn't see her for weeks. Didn't know where she went. All I knew was that she wasn't with us anymore. And neither was my silence. Emily was gone. Her bedroom sat frozen, door slightly cracked, light still on. Her jacket missing. The pink one with the stitched initials she'd worn since middle school. The one she always said made her feel like herself. And now? That person, the real Emily, felt like she'd vanished too. Mom said she wanted to stay with family friends. Dad said she needed space to realign. But they were lying. Again, I could feel it in my bones. And I'd had enough. 2 days later, DCFS returned. This time with someone new, a woman named Evelyn Monroe. Late 40s, blunt haircut, glasses that said, "I'm not here to coddle you." She didn't ask. She told, "We have grounds for an emergency intervention, but we're waiting on cross-state cooperation. In the meantime, Aiden, we need you to be honest with us. Have your parents ever threatened you directly?" I hesitated. Not with words. But they let her do it. They watched. They taught her to do it. She nodded like she'd heard this 100 times before. Then she reached into her briefcase and pulled out a manila envelope. "We also need you to see this." Inside were printed emails. From Mom. To someone named Judith, a school administrator from our old district in Chicago. The subject lines chilled me. Pull records on Aiden. Suppress behavioral history. Emily will be the family contact. Ignore outside requests. We'll be moving out of state. Expedite clearance under family safety clause. They faked my school records. Deleted disciplinary actions from Emily's file. Fabricated a bullying incident in mine. Claimed I was a threat to justify pulling me from the system. They erased me. And the worst part? They used Emily to do it. I couldn't sit still. I told Evelyn everything again. But this time, I told her about after we moved. About the manipulation. The way Emily mirrored our parents' tone. The way she monitored my movements, repeated their phrases, stole my journal. She listened. No interruptions. Just took notes. Then she said something that finally clicked. "What you're describing is coercive familial indoctrination. We see it a lot in isolationist households. Your sister was conditioned to believe their truth was the only truth. She's not evil. She's programmed." Programmed. That hit me hard. I'd spent so long being angry at Emily. But maybe she was just trapped. Like me. That night, I checked her old laptop. It was password locked, but I remembered her favorite quote from some random Tumblr post years ago. "The moon doesn't apologize for shining in the dark." It worked. Her desktop loaded, full of scattered folders. One caught my eye. /reflection/ inside were dozens of audio files. Dates as titles. Short, clipped recordings. I clicked one at random. April 19th. I cried again tonight. Aiden looked at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I am. Maybe this version of me is just safer. Another. May 3rd. Dad said I'm not ready. That I still slip into old thinking. I miss the noise. I miss the lake. I don't tell them that. There was a part of her still fighting. Still real. Buried under all the scripts and corrections. I copied the files. Every single one. Then I sent them to Evelyn. She replied the next morning. "Thank you. This will change everything." A week passed. School was a blur. Teachers looked at me like I was radioactive. Jay said people were talking rumors that I'd ratted on my own family, that Emily ran away because of me. But he stood by me. "Let them talk," he said. "You didn't break your family. You survived it." Then, the confrontation. Emily came back. Middle of the day. Unannounced. I was sitting on the back porch, chewing through some cafeteria leftovers, when I heard the side gate creak. There she was. Thinner. Paler. Hair messy. But her eyes? Still sharp. Still watching. "You gave them my recordings." "I did." "You had no right. You gave up your right when you let them turn you into a spy." She flinched. Real pain in her face. "You don't understand." "Then help me. Make me understand." She didn't speak for a full minute. Then, they said if I didn't do it, they'd send me away. That I was failing the mission. That I'd end up in one of those places. What places? Facilities. Camps. Places for broken kids. I went cold. "They threatened to lock you up if you didn't control me?" "They showed me photos, Aiden. They showed me what happened to kids who disobeyed. I didn't want that for you." "Then why do it to me?" Because they promised if I could fix you, they'd leave me alone. We sat there for a long time. The silence was heavy. Finally, I asked, "Do you still believe them?" She didn't answer, just looked down at her hands. Then she handed me something. Her journal. I can't carry this anymore. Inside were pages and pages of entries. Some hopeful, some haunting. One near the end said, "If I disappear, I hope Aiden remembers the lake. And the frog. And the dumb hat. I hope he remembers the me that loved him." I did. And I would. Always. Emily didn't stay. She left again that night. But this time, she went with Evelyn to Chicago to live with our Aunt Marianne. Away from Mom and Dad. Away from the rot. DCFS filed for emergency guardianship. The FCTF launched an investigation into our parents for data manipulation, school fraud, and coercive psychological abuse. I was alone in that house for 5 more days. Then a caseworker showed up. Said it was my turn to leave. 5 days alone in that house felt longer than the last 5 years. No parents. No Emily. No shouting. No whispered plotting through the vents at night. Just me and silence. You'd think it would have felt like peace. But it didn't. Not yet. It felt like waiting for the ground to give out beneath me. Because I knew what was coming. DCFS wasn't just moving chess pieces around anymore. They were flipping the whole board. It started with a subpoena. Delivered right to our door by a U.S. Marshal. Dad opened it, cool as ever, read the whole thing without blinking. Then calmly folded it and turned to Mom. "They're bluffing." She smiled. "Let them. We've played this game before." But this wasn't bluffing. The charges stacked faster than I could keep up with. Falsifying school records, psychological endangerment of a minor, coercion of a minor to commit fraud, unlawful surveillance, interference with child welfare services, and those were just the local charges. The FCTF, the Federal Cybercrime Task Force, dug deeper. They found hidden surveillance programs on our home Wi-Fi, email cloaking scripts, voice manipulation software, even a digital trail leading back to false tips called into CPS under fake names, tips that conveniently matched what Emily had been telling school counselors. This wasn't just parenting gone bad. This was domestic information warfare. I was relocated to a temporary guardian's house while the investigation played out. Nice family. Weirdly quiet. But safe. My caseworker, Ms. Jordan, was young, sharp, and didn't sugarcoat anything. They're trying to get ahead of the narrative. Your father's already hired a PR consultant. Your mother's telling people you were unwell and lashing out. What about Emily? She's talking. More than anyone expected. That gave me hope. 2 weeks later, I got the call. They've been arrested. I stood in the middle of a grocery store aisle, frozen between the cereal and canned soup. Mom and Dad, in cuffs, indicted in federal court. The trial moved fast. Apparently, when you mess with multiple institutions, schools, state agencies, and federal databases, you don't get to delay proceedings with fancy lawyers and pitiful excuses. Emily was subpoenaed too. She testified. I watched her from the back of the courtroom. Hair tied back, hands shaking. She recited everything. The messages, the pressure, the punishments when she slipped, the conditioning, the phrases Dad made her memorize. She said, they didn't want obedient kids. They wanted assets. They wanted soldiers. The judge asked if she was still in contact with them. She said, they don't know me anymore. When it was my turn to speak, I didn't prepare a statement. I just got up there and told the truth. I told them about the night we left Chicago. About the cold silence in Phoenix. About the calendar rules, the digital control, the nights Emily cried herself to sleep, and then came into my room and tried to smile like everything was fine. I said, they didn't just take my sister. They tried to turn me against her. And they failed. I looked at them, at my parents, for the first time in months. Mom wouldn't look at me. Dad just stared. That cold, quiet stare I used to fear. But not anymore. The verdict? Guilty. On all counts. Sentencing was harsh. 12 years for Dad. 10 years for Mom. No contact with either of us for the duration of the sentence. Mandatory psychiatric evaluation. Permanent restraining orders. After the hearing, Emily found me outside. She was wearing a different jacket. Her eyes looked older than 17. We didn't hug. We didn't cry. We just sat on the courthouse steps. Finally, she said, you saved me. No. You saved yourself. I just reminded you who you were. She nodded. Didn't say anything for a while. Then she whispered, do you ever think we'll be okay? I shrugged. Maybe not like before, but maybe something new. She smiled small, real. We're not healed. Not yet. Some nights I still wake up expecting to hear my door click open. I still flinch when I hear Mom's voice in a commercial or Dad's tone in a movie. But we're not trapped anymore. And that's something. 3 years passed. I went from 13 to 16, From fear to freedom, from silence to someone who could speak in full truth without looking over my shoulder. Emily aged out of Aunt Marianne's guardianship just last spring. She didn't move back in. She got a tiny one-bedroom apartment on the edge of Chicago, close to a bus line, walking distance from her community college. She picked up a part-time job at a bookstore that smells like glue and old dust, and I swear she chose it just because it feels safe. She hasn't spoken to Mom or Dad since the sentencing. Neither have I. But the truth? The silence isn't simple. Sometimes silence is peace. Other times, it's a gaping wound that no apology can stitch. Emily and we talk now. Occasionally. Carefully. But it's not the same. How could it be? A few weeks ago, she messaged me. Want to get lunch? Not much. No emojis. Just those 5 words. I said yes. We met at this diner halfway between our schools. One of those old school places with a flickering neon sign and cracked leather boots that smell like syrup. She looked different. Not just older, but steadier. Like someone who had fought through hell and survived, even if she wasn't sure what came next. We didn't do the whole awkward hug thing. We just sat, ordered food, and then came the part we'd both been avoiding for years. Do you hate me? She asked. No, I said. I hated what they did to you. She looked down at her water, tracing the rim with one finger. Sometimes I still hear them in my head. Me too. She smiled, sad but grateful. Do you think we were always meant to end up like this? Just broken parts in separate cities. I shook my head. I think we're still in the middle of it. Of what? The rebuild. We sat there for hours. Talked about everything. Aunt Marianne's weird herbal tea obsession, her ethics class, my plans to apply to Cal State. And for the first time since we were kids, we laughed. Not forced, polite laughter. The real kind. The kind where your face hurts after. She pulled out a small notebook near the end. Worn cover, loose pages, but I recognized it immediately. Her journal. The one she gave me the night she left Phoenix. She opened to a page and handed it to me. Read this one. I scanned it. If he ever reads this, I want him to know. I didn't forget. I tried to forget, but I couldn't. The lake, the frog, the stupid hat, they're still in here. Even if I pretended they weren't. She pointed to her chest. They never got this part. Not really. I handed it back. They never will. As we walked outside, she paused near the streetlight. The same kind of light she used to stand under during her secret meetups with Mom and Dad, but now she looked up at it like it was just a light. No meaning. No ghosts. Do you think we'll ever be a real family again? I shrugged. Maybe we don't have to be the old family. Maybe we build a new one. You and me. From scratch. She nodded. And for the first time, she didn't look like she was carrying a weight she couldn't name. She looked free. No? We talk weekly. Small stuff. Texts. Inside jokes. Song recommendations. Occasionally a photo of a frog or a lake, always followed by a remember. She's applying to social work programs. Says she wants to help other kids who were raised to forget themselves. I'm proud of her. I'm proud of us. Because we didn't let them win. They broke our house. But not our bond. Sometimes I still think about that house in Phoenix. I wonder if the walls remember the shouting, the lies, the silence. But then I remind myself we don't live there anymore. We live here. In choice. In truth. In freedom. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it too.